Hello friends, I'm Akash and this is your News of the Week for the week of January 30th to February 5th, 2022. I'm Akash Shakoti and let's get right into the headlines. We begin with an update on coronavirus. 3 million cases and 11,000 deaths per day worldwide. The United States reaches 900,000 deaths due to COVID-19. And also, the FDA and CDC have approved, authorized, and recommended the Moderna vaccine for all adults, as well as the Pfizer vaccine. Previously, it was just an emergency use authorization. Our next story relates to the winter storm that has been pummeling the United States and also parts of Canada for the past few days. Now, this has been going on for quite a bit, and it's been really dangerous. It's left 400,000 people without power as power lines across the country fail to work. It's stretching from West Texas all the way past the United States into eastern Canada. And there have been a lot of effects that have resulted as a cause of this winter storm. So let's take a look at our next story of the week, which relates to the Winter Olympics. Now, the Winter Olympics so far have really been really good. The opening ceremony was fantastic and day one of competition went smoothly. But there has been a diplomatic boycott of the 2022 Beijing Olympics by the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and India. And these countries will not be sending any government officials or diplomats to China for the Olympics. So that is a story I'm going to be talking about in just a moment. But next, we're going to be taking a look at NASA, because NASA has announced that the International Space Station will be decommissioned in 2031, at what point it will plunge through the atmosphere into the Pacific Ocean. Now, this is the same fate as with almost every other space station. It either gets burnt up in the atmosphere or it ends up staying through the whole thing and plunging in the ocean because there's not much need for it anyways after its use has already been supplied. So in its place will be competitors, are not competitors, but companies. There's going to be private companies working together with the government, all creating competing different space stations up in the atmosphere, and these are going to allow private astronauts as well as government astronauts to do their space work over there. So this is the plan NASA stated for the ISS, and that is all of your news of the week. So let's get into the further details. And we begin with COVID-19. Now, COVID-19 has been skyrocketing over the past few weeks, as you may well know, due to the rapid rise of Omicron. 3 million cases per day. We're seeing world record-breaking records that we're seeing right now. 300,000 of those cases are here in the United States. As well as that, we're seeing 11,000 deaths worldwide, 3,000 of which are in the United States per day. Now, this is rapidly deteriorating the situation right now, as the United States passes 900,000 death toll. It's important that we all try our best to keep ourselves safe. And the FDA and CDC have tried helping with that because they have recently fully approved and recommended the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine for all adults. Previously, it was just an emergency use authorization. Now, it's complete. That means that anyone over the age of 18 can now take the Moderna vaccine fully normal. Now, this is the thing that the FDA and CDC have come up upon, and that's going to be really, really helpful in helping to just slightly, kick up the amount of people who have been vaccinated so far. So that is what's been going on right now with COVID-19, the situation. So let's take a look at our next story of the week, the winter storm. Now, the winter storm right now has been very, very dangerous. It stretched from West Texas all the way past the United States into eastern Canada, and it has left 400,000 people without power as power lines across the country fail to work and the emergency generators just don't start up. So this is the situation that we're facing. It's like a national version of last year's devastating and disastrous Texas power outage. It's like a national version of just that, and now it's extended into Canada. This winter storm has caused a really, really terrible thing so far. We're seeing freezing temperatures, like here in San Angelo it was 28 or 29 degrees, which is well below freezing. And then after that we're seeing icy roads that have been going on. This is causing deadly car crashes. As well as that, there have also been a foot-ton of snow in certain places. That's right, a foot of snow. So the fact that all this is coming, and by the way, the foot of snow is up in some of the northern states, but like the fact that this is all happening is absolutely insane. These are just some of the effects that this winter storm has caused, and so it's important to stay safe, as this has been going on for the past few days, and it could keep going on for another day or two. So once again, make sure to stay safe to everyone who is currently affected by this winter storm. So let's take a look at our next story of the week, and that is the Winter Olympics. This year they're being held in Beijing, China, for the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics, and so this is very, very interesting. I mean, the opening ceremony, that went out fantastic, and the day one of competitions, everything went just fine. But there is a big, big controversy surrounding the fact that out of all countries in the world, China is the one hosting it this year. And sure enough, this has led to a diplomatic boycott of this year's Winter Olympics by the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and now India. So this means all of these countries will not be sending any government officials or diplomats to China for the Winter Olympics. So this is very important, and the reasoning behind this, specifically for the US, UK, and Canada, the main reasoning is that there have been alleged cases of human rights abuses in China, specifically what is known as the Uyghur genocide, with the native Uyghur people in Western China who have been persecuted for several years now. This is a massive case that's been going on for quite a while, and that is the main reason behind this diplomatic boycott. Specifically for Australia, relations between China and Australia have been deteriorating rapidly, and so that's why Australia decided they were going to do this, and India decided to join in the diplomatic boycott at the last minute, and the reasoning was the fact that the situation that was going on was that one of the torchbearers who was going to be in the torch relay was actually one of the military commanders who fought against India in the Chinese-Indian skirmishes on the border clashes of 2020. So the commander who is in charge of one of the largest clashes of the border clashes in 2020 was going to be a torchbearer in the relay, and that really, really outrages a lot of India, because of what's been going on. And so as a result, India just straight up went for the diplomatic boycott and joined the US, UK, Canada, and Australia. So India joins the West in diplomatically boycotting the Beijing Olympics. As well as this, I must also point out that Beijing has become the first city to host the Olympics in the summer and in the winter. Summer in 2008 and winter now in 2022. But this is very controversial, as there have been cases of censorship issues, and not only that, there have also been cases of athlete surveillance and things like this that make this Olympics far more controlled than it has ever been. There have been calls to relocate the Olympics, but it's too late now, it's already begun, and this is what's been going on right now, the situation. And some say that this Olympics is a form of sports washing, which is the term used to describe when a country uses a national sporting event to distract from whatever negative things they're doing. this is what some people are accusing China of doing, and that is what's been going on with the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics. So let's take a look at our final story of the week, which relates to NASA. That's right, the National Aeronautics and Space Administration of the United States of America has officially announced that the International Space Station will be decommissioned in 2031. That's right, the ISS basically has a set mission end date, and that is in 2031. At one point, it'll just be plunging straight towards the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and that's going to be that. So this is the plan with the ISS. This has happened with almost every other one like this, every other space station that has existed, and yeah, there were quite a lot in the early days of space travel. All of these face the same fate, which is just going down, perhaps burning up in the atmosphere, or if it somehow managed to survive, plunging into the Pacific Ocean near Point Nemo. And Point Nemo is the farthest point on Earth from any human civilization or any piece of land. So this is what Point Nemo is, and that's where most of these tend to land. And so that is where the ISS is probably going to go in 9 years' time. So in its place, of course, we're going to still have space stations. They'll still exist. And in fact, NASA has a plan for this. So the plan is to grab 3 companies to individually work as contractors, creating their own space stations, all launching them into the air, every single one of those, and then using those for private astronauts and government astronauts to work together in space projects. So this is the plan for what they're going to do with space stations in the future. But yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to see what's going on. And so the ISS may as well come to its end in 9 years. There have been over 200 astronauts who have been to the ISS in its 22-year-long history of continuous occupation, and there's going to be many more who's going to come for the next 9 years or so while it lasts. But like everything, it's going to have to go sometime, and in 2031, that's where it's going to go. And that is all of your news of the week for the week of January 30th to February 5th, 2022. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you soon in another News of the Week. Goodbye.